So, Helen, can you start by telling me what era you were born in and where you lived?
I was born in 1923, right after there was a depression at that time. That was over. And what was the other part of the question?
And exactly where did you live?
I'm in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay. So, Helen, how was life for you back then? How was life for your family, your siblings, yourself?
Oh, I came from a family we were 15 children. We lived in a cold water flat in a tenement house in Newark. The life was very hard, and you worked very hard so that you could pay your rent, and things were so bad that my mother was about the only person in that whole building that could afford to pay the little bit of rent that we were charged, only because we were so many people, and all my older brothers and sisters were all working, and they contributed the money to the household.
What kind of jobs did the members of your family have?
All factory jobs.
Factory, like on an assembly line, like putting things together?
Assembly line, and my father was worked in a tin factory where they dealt with tin, garbage cans and all stuff like that. And my sisters worked in a factory where they made toothpaste tubes and radio tubes and all stuff like that.
What about when you weren't working? What did you do for a pastime?
Pastime? No, we used to, my sisters older than myself and my other sisters who were as young as I was, we played on the street. And my other older sisters and brothers went to work, and when everybody was assembled and dinner was over, then we all sat around and listened to the radio and then went to bed.
How did family life differ from how it is today?
Very much different. In the time when I was young, all my brothers and sisters, we just played games in the street, and that was our pastime. Compared to what the kids have now, all the iPods and all the cell phones and all the things they have. They go on vacation every year with their parents and all that, altogether different. And those times when we didn't even have any bathtubs in our apartments. We had to go to a certain building up the street from where we lived, where for 5 cents you brought your towel, and the woman there gave you a bar of soap, and you went in and took a shower, and then you dried yourself and got dressed again and came home. But nobody had any bathtubs. You only had the necessary toilets, and that was it.
1929, the Great Depression began. How did that affect you, and did it affect your community and the people around you?
Well, here's what went on. My family wasn't affected by it because there were so many of us, and lots of my sisters and brothers were working, and my father was working, so it wasn't so bad for us. But our friends all around us, nobody worked in their family, and in that case, the government came through with a plan that if you needed help, we called it relief at that time. You went to the government and stated your case, and they would give you coupons to go to the store to get food or to get wood so that you could put in your stove, because you had to be warm and keep the kids warm. And that's the way we worked it. And I don't know. And then, like I said, they did all right, but people did suffer. They couldn't pay their rent, and they couldn't have any kind of a luxury at all. And the kids, like when I was a child, and I was very happy playing in the street with all my friends. I didn't know much about what was going on, but I could see that we were eating well, and my mother was everybody in my family was providing, who were giving all the money that they earned to my mother so she could pay all the bills, which she did very nicely.
Okay.
And that's how we got through with it. But glad when it was over.
So how was school back then?
We had very nice schools and nice teachers, and the schools were so that we didn't need to ride a bus. They were probably just around the corner from where we lived, and it was a nice life. The teachers were nice. Every once in a while there was some teacher that was mean, you know. She'd go around hitting all the kids with a ruler on their hands, but otherwise everybody was all right. And we all were like seemed eager to learn, to want to know what was going on in the world. And we listened very carefully to our teachers and tried very hard to learn what we were supposed to learn.
And now when
there weren't many troublemakers. Nobody made much trouble. You didn't. If the teacher hit you in some way, she was allowed to maybe slap your hands, and you went home to tell your mother.
Ricky, I'm gonna take your card again, man.
Okay.
Well. If, you know, but when you went home to tell your mother that the teacher hit you, well, your mother didn't even wait to find out what the explanation was for. She just hit you again, saying if the teacher hit you, that means that she needed to hit you because you were doing something that you shouldn't be doing, and that was the end of it. Your mother never made any journeys to the school to ask the teacher why she hit her child and all that. And that's the way it went, and it was much better then. Nowadays it seems that the teachers, the mothers get too sensitive about their children, and they think that their children are always right.
Okay. So when World War II began in 1939, were you aware of it? Did they teach you about the war or Germany's aggression in school?
Well, we heard about it in school some, but then we would hear it from our older brothers and sisters. And every mother in America was scared as anything because she knew that her sons would have to go into the war and that bothered them. Like my mother, she had 3 sons that went into the war, and so she was very worried all the time. And we knew then what Hitler was doing, and we knew that it wasn't a very nice thing, and that it would get worse as the days went by, which it did. But we got through it, and my 3 brothers came home safe and sound, and other brothers didn't, and that was so sad, because there was one Irish family, I think I remember, they were Irish, they had 5 of their sailor sons on one ship, and they all died. And then the government made a rule that you couldn't, you know, the brothers couldn't be on the same ship, that they would have to go on separate ships, so that wouldn't happen again to a mother, because the mother was terribly disturbed about it.
And did you see the country's reaction firsthand when Pearl Harbor was attacked in 1941?
Oh my God, it was something so unbelievable. I remember it was a Sunday afternoon, and I came home, and everybody in my house was talking about it, and it sounded so scary. And I think I was only maybe 16 or 17 years old, and I said, "Oh my God, that sounds so terrible. A war in my time? I'd never believed that I would live through a war." And look at me now, all the things I'm living through.
What were some of the challenges you faced as a young adult in this time period?
In what time period?
Well, after 1941, in wartime America and then post-war America.
Oh, wartime America. Well, like I told you, I was just either 16 or 17, and then I had graduated from high school, and we didn't ever think of going to college because we thought that would be too much money for our parents to put out for us. So we were looking for jobs, and I did find a job in manufacturing tubes for television. And I worked at that until I got a nicer job in an office, and just wondering what the boys were doing, and reading the paper about all the things that were happening, and how the war was going and all that. Post-war, well, that was a little bit different. Everybody came home, and the country everybody seemed in better spirits, and it was a better life, and it was almost a natural, normal life. And that's all I can say about it. People found jobs that they liked, and everybody was getting married, and life was like better.
Now, I heard you mention the television. How did the television revolutionize family life?
Oh, that was the most wonderful thing in the world. We could see something, and we didn't have to turn the radio on anymore, because before television, the radio was our life. We would listen to the stories that went on, all kinds of stories, and we would listen to the music, and we would listen to speeches and all that. That was our life, listening to the radio. Everybody in the family would just sit around, just sitting there listening to the radio. And as soon as television came on, then it was the fact that not many people could buy that television because it was too expensive. But if you had a friend who had one, then he or she would invite people over, and that was our life then, finding somebody who had a television set that we could go over to see some of the programs, until one day my mother could afford to buy her own television set, and that was one happy part of our lives.
If you could change anything about your life, would you?
Would I? No, not really. I married the man that I wanted to, had children, and prayed that God would make it a good life for me, which He did, it looks like. But we had lots of problems, but we overcame them, and all deaths of our family and friends, and overcame those, and hardships. Some of my brothers and sisters died early, and with troubling sicknesses and all that, but we got through everything and still enjoy each other.
Okay, looking back on your childhood, would you say that you led a difficult life?
Yet looking back, it wasn't difficult. It wasn't difficult. It was that you wished for things that like when Christmas came, you wished that you had more presents, and you wished that when your birthday came that you had more presents, and you wished that you could see all the things in the world where people were going on vacation, but you didn't because you didn't have any money. And that's what I yearned for new clothes and all the things that a young girl would like, but they weren't to be had because there wasn't money for that.
Okay.
But my mother did very well with what she had.
Okay, all right, thank you, Grandma. Thank you for putting your time into this.
Oh, that's quite all right. I enjoyed it. Okay.